Hi guys, James Orr, founder of Decisive Trading. So first thing is, I hope you're all having a good start to July. My first week, I had a pretty good Monday, a pretty good Thursday, and then the rest of the week was very quiet. I took one trade in between, sort of came out for a couple of points, and apart from that, I was just sitting watching the charts. And then on Friday, non-farm payroll, I tend to avoid trading on non-farm payroll just because I find the markets to be a little bit less predictable personally, and in the past I found that it is by quite a large margin my worst trading day. So now I just avoid it. I just use it as an excuse to have a Friday off a month, basically. Now, when it comes to trading, one of the things that I have noticed is that people learning to trade are very rarely being fair with themselves. You, the person watching this video, are most likely being extremely hard on yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I see this all the time. What I'm going to do is use one of the more recent examples. So one of my subscribers, a guy from America, he emailed me and he's been on the Zone Trader course for around about 6 months now. And he emailed me and he was feeling a little bit down. I think things were just starting to get on top of him. And what he said was, for the last couple of months, so 2 months ago he was profitable, and then last month he was profitable, but not as profitable as he'd wanted to be. And he was feeling a little bit down. He was starting to wonder if he was making any progress, and if he was doing things correctly, or if he just wanted to sort of walk away from it and think, this just isn't for me. Now, going back to him, well, it's pretty easy for me. So the first thing is, when you are learning to trade, there's the outside view where people can look in and look at your progress and see what you've done. That tends to be a lot easier. Now, on the flip side, there's how you look at it. And what tends to happen with that is we are very hard on ourselves. And we tend to sort of look for the negatives rather than the positives. Now, when I was learning to trade, it took me 2 years before I started to see any kind of profitability. And I'm talking about 2 years of getting my ass kicked by the markets. I'd be as well of just putting money into a briefcase, closing the briefcase, walking to the broker and handing him the briefcase and then saying, okay, see you later. Because it would have been a lot less stressful and the end result would have been exactly the same. Just basically me giving the broker all of my money. It took me 2 years. I actually recently found one of those external hard drives, and I was just sort of looking through it as I was moving house, because I was deciding, do I need to keep this? Do I want to clear it? Do I just want to bin it? And I was looking through it, and it still had the trades from that first month. What I used to do, and I'd actually forgotten about this, I used to take a picture of every single trade that I took, and then I used to review that trade. So that was kind of like my trading diary. And I still had that first profitable month. It took me about 2 years. And I think the profitability was around about 38.5 points for the entire month. And I was absolutely delighted with that, because over those 2 years, as I mentioned, I was just losing money. And then coming to sort of the end of that 2 years, I started thinking, you know what, this isn't working. I need to start doing this myself. And I started building what was then not Zone Trader, but what has evolved into Zone Trader. And that's when I had my first profitable month. And I was delighted. I wanted to scream it from the rooftops. And it's probably because it took me such a long time and I went through so much hardship that I was able to appreciate it more. If after 6 months, I could have had 2 months consecutively of profitability. So basically, let's say your first month, you're learning how to trade. You're just figuring things out. The second month, you're sort of starting to learn the trading plan. The third month, you're starting to put it into action, but you're making mistakes. The fourth month, you're somehow, everything's starting to click. And then the fifth and the sixth month, you're starting to see profitability. If I could have had that kind of progress, I would have been ecstatic. And what I went back to this guy and said is, basically, that's phenomenal. The fact that you are showing me profitability over 2 months and consecutively it's amazing. You're being way too hard on yourself. You are doing really, really, really well. Compared to what I was doing, you are miles ahead. You've got to remember, when you're learning to trade, 85, 90, 95% of people, we don't have an exact figure, but with the new sort of ESMA rules that are coming in, I think brokers are going to have to start telling us how many of their clients are profitable. But it's around about 85 to 90% of people fail to find consistent profitability when trading. It's extremely difficult. It's not something you can learn quickly. If you can turn it around that quickly, 4 months and then start to see profitability, you need to sort of pat yourself on the back. And as a beginner trader, I find that most of you are very hard on yourself. It sort of reminds me of, it's like a cartoon picture that I've seen on Facebook, and you see it on Twitter and all these sort of things. It's the guy with the pick, and he's digging through the rock, and then the picture is basically he's turned around and he's walking away with the pick over his shoulder and his head's down, and he looks sort of despondent, he looks really gutted, and he's giving up. And then there's this really thin bit of rock, and we can see it and he can't see it, and on the other side of that rock there's the diamond mine that he was obviously looking for. And that really sort of, it hits home for me when it comes to trading, because so many people are that guy with the pick. They are making so much progress, but they just don't look around and they don't realize it. They think they're doing poorly. Like this subscriber who emailed me. So what I want you to do is, coming into the week, we're into July now, we're sort of halfway through the year. Think to yourself, instead of thinking, I've had a bad week or I've had a bad trading day, instead of really thinking, I want to slam the computer closed and is it worthwhile me doing this? Flip it around and look from the outside and ask yourself, how far have you come? You can comment down below, you can tell me 6 months ago or 3 months ago, if you put yourself how you are now next to that person from 6 months ago or 3 months ago, would you say that you've made progress? Would you say that you have improved? If you could go back to 6 months ago, how much progress would you want to have made? And then if you look at yourself now, have you made that progress? And then what's your plan for the next 3 to 6 months? If you sort of start building that out and you have a realistic timeline, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to realize that you have to sort of trudge through the mess as you are learning how to trade, because it's not easy. It's really, really not easy learning to trade. I know I say this quite a lot, but I hate this image of the people in the Ferraris and the people in the swimming pools portraying this easy lifestyle. It's not an easy lifestyle. It's very, very difficult. And if you are making progress, you need to be proud of yourself, because you need to be able to lift yourself up when you start to feel down. And you need to realize that if you turn around with that pick over your shoulder and start to walk away, you have no idea where you could have been if you just stuck with it. And one of the ways to do that is to assess how far you have already come. I'm sure, unless you're a complete beginner and you're just watching this video, even if you are a complete beginner, I'm presuming you've watched the candlestick video. I bet 3 months ago you would never have dreamed about being able to load up a trading chart and understand what you are seeing. Because when you first come to trading, it's like a different language. It's all these guys in banks with all these screens, and they make it look really, really complicated, when in all reality, it's just candlesticks telling you if it's moving up or if it's moving down. Of course, we can start to read a little bit more into it, but that's essentially what we are learning. And we're trying to figure out, where's the most likely place where it's going to go up, where's the most likely place when it's going to go down. So stop being so hard on yourself. We're into July, you're into the second half of the year. If you seriously want to be a trader, think about the progress you've already made. Stop looking at the negatives. Everyone gets down once in a while. It's just all part of it. And I used to beat the crap out of myself when I was going through this 2-year period of losing money. I really, really did. But I was always trying to find ways to better my trading. And the ways for me, unfortunately, at that time, were sort of paying more and more money for education. I sort of ran through the belief the more expensive it is, the better it is. And I was spending, crazy money on education, and it was pretty garbage, if I'm being polite. But I was still making progress. I wasn't making profits, unfortunately, which is really the progress that we want to see as traders, but I was making progress, I was learning. And it took going through all of that before I realized that, the things that I'm doing just aren't working. I need to strip everything back. I need to start again. But I could quite easily have just turned around, had that pick over my shoulder and said, you know what, I'm just going to call it a day. I'm going to walk out, I'm going to find something else. And that would have stopped me from getting to where I am today. But instead of doing that, I kept going. And now I am in a place where I am very happy to be. And it took fighting through all of that shit to get here. So that's pretty much everything for the video, guys. I really just want to sort of reach out to some of you and say, you know, keep going. Keep your head up, keep your shoulders back. Don't think that it's so bad, because you're probably just focusing inward. Flip yourself around and look at it from a different perspective and ask yourself, really, have you made some progress? I am almost certain that you have. Even if you've had a bad week, even if you've had a bad month, it's not necessarily all bad. Start to look at the real things that you have achieved. It becomes a lot easier if you can see that you're making that steady progress. Okay guys, so that's going to be everything for this video. As always with Decisive Trading, if you want to see some more of our information, more of our content, our training courses, you can head over to the website www.decisivetrading.info. There's also a couple of links down below this video for some of our free education, the free Intro to Trading course, which is designed to sort of give you that foundational knowledge, and then the free Decisive Package, which is designed to start building you onto some technical knowledge. And then there's the opportunity with the Decisive Package, again, to move on to a free professional trading course based around the 1 hour time frame. Okay guys, as always, I hope that was helpful. I hope you all have a really good trading week, and I hope you can keep your head up and feel a little bit better about what it is that you have achieved.